lawn zealots, I call it. Yeah. But what he's saying is people who do a reasonably decent job responsive caring for the lawn are getting chastised for just having a lawn.
Right, right.
And I think that's the underlying issue that I see going on. I see it up in Canada, is that the site is under attack. It's not how you manage the site anymore.
Yeah.
And there's some people, I mean, there was a video that we were involved, they were advocating as a water, take lawns out of the landscape and put synthetic turf down. I mean, that is their belief as a solution to water management, not dealing with water conservation practice, but eliminate the site, eliminate the problem. We know that's not the right answer. And I think that's what, and not what the word's about, but I think that's what the frustration or concern might be.
Yes, that's right.
I'm in the structural section, and with regard to turf, I'll have to mow my yard when I get home. Well, this isn't about turf from my perspective. This is about pollutants in water, and it covers all things. Now, I think we've drifted into the turf, and we need to come back to home base, which is how do we get the message to the public that they need to be careful in how they handle pesticides. That's just my perspective.
Yeah, well, that's a good point.
Let's take just one more and then we'll keep on moving.
This discussion to me is really interesting because I come from the coastal sector, so all of this is very new to me, and I think the one thing that sounds like there's a bit of kind of confusion, for lack of a better word, is that everybody's talking about messages, sound bites. You know, that's very different than education. When you have a message in a sound bite, that's marketing. So that's an idea that you're trying to get out. When you're talking about education, like Sadie was just talking about, you know, education for connecting what you're doing at home to what happens in the environment, that's an educational principle. That's a campaign. That's very different from the soundbite. And so I feel like there's a lot of discussion around different things, and what needs to be clarified is that if you're talking soundbites, that's marketing. If you're talking education, that's curriculum. And those two are different, and you have to recognize that in addressing your audiences, because it's different requirements in building that campaign, different requirements in what the audience needs. And so that's just, sorry, from an outsider's perspective.
Let me keep going through these because we want to get back. I'm going to go through them real quickly. I've got like 5 pages. Think more about flexibility and standards for lawn management versus a water use.
Let's see, think about flexibility and standards of lawn management vis-a-vis water use.
Vis-a-vis.
Vis-a-vis.
Landscaper perspective, forests may have their filtration ability compromised. That's unmanaged forest areas. Again, kind of a sub-message.
Before you move on to that one, that different paradigm one, I think if I remember right, was the way I interpreted that middle one there. A different paradigm would be to, somebody mentioned you have to meet with the homeowner and look at their objective of their site objective. But it needs to be done on a regional basis. Maybe, you know, Rhode Island, they have a whole different water hydrology system in a different area. And I think that's what you're mentioning. It's the big picture of the environment. It has to come first with everybody's actions. And so we're part of that. We're recommending something. So the big picture, the big common ground with everybody is what's happening in your environment, in your watershed, and your soil types. And then we make our recommendations based on the homeowner objective, what's going on in their area, what's acceptable, what's going to be environmentally acceptable. And I just think that's something that we need to instill more in the whole industry.
Localization.
Yeah, it has to be target specific.
Yeah. Zero input lawns may in fact lead to water quality problems. Again, we talked about species, poor species selection. So it may solve the problem, but may be the problem. Turf is not the only element in landscape. Encourage balance, landscape versus monoculture, and I would probably throw in there pest management, fertilization, all the above. Fine-tuning needed for fertilization recommendations. I think this gets back to the comment about different regions, the different types of grass, the different types of lawn and shrubs and other things, and where they are is going to affect all that. Whole landscape doesn't need to be grass. So it's okay to have bushes and have denser foliage. Where would priority areas to take out of the lawn?
Something
Oh, that was interesting.
something I don't think we've mentioned all the 2 days is to get the leaves off the lawn. If you have a shady lawn and you leave the leaves laying there, you can practically lose it in one season. I don't think we've mentioned that at all.
Customer expectations, we need to educate consumers that perfect isn't necessary. It's okay to have some leaves and whatnot in your lawn. Those are all of the. Any other thoughts that we haven't captured?
Okay, well, I have a question. If I'm a homeowner, I just heard two conflicting things. And it's okay to have an imperfect lawn, but a healthy lawn, but we're being told you have to have a healthy lawn. Well, if you got dandelions in your yard, that I would say that's an unhealthy lawn, but then we're telling them it's okay. That's where we really need to figure out what is a healthy lawn.
But it depends on your own personal objectives. I work for the National Park Service, and the White House cannot have dandelions. Period.
Right, well, yeah.
It's a Class
Yeah,
A
but
lawn.
what is,
But recreation, where you have thousands of visitors on the National Mall, of course we're going to have dandelions. We're just glad it's green. So
well, no,
it
but that's,
depends on
but
your
in
side
terms of what is
objective.
healthy though, you're talking about the health of the lawn.
Right.
What is
You're
healthy?
saying that could be dangerous.
Is healthy something we need to just stay away from that concept? Should it maybe be a properly managed lawn? Which implies that it's going to be healthy. And then also could reach into the fertilization as well as pesticides and insect control, types of grass, maintenance and watering, all that. Density.
I mean, we don't want bare ground.
Brian,
Basically, it's what that density.
Get a properly managed lawn. Is that a possibility?
What does that mean?
Well, it's to start.
Right?
I know it's going to repeat what I presented earlier today, but I just want to share that I don't think we're approaching this the right way, because the reality is it's not what the people in this room define as a healthy lawn that is going to resonate with the people that we're talking about. It's their perceptions of a healthy lawn that we need to understand first in order to build towards these processes. And I'm not trying to be discouraging, I just feel like we're putting a lot of effort towards a definition that in the end won't really be effective for us.
Well, I just want to read you what I wrote down yesterday. You know, at the end of the day, what I thought might be, you know, a good discussion topic for a key message. And it was, a properly managed lawn is good for the environment and easy to do. It's pretty basic. It's from somebody not in the industry, based on all the conversations I saw and listened to yesterday, and conversations last night, that a properly managed lawn is good for the environment and easy to do. And then from there, you're able to build key messages around what is a properly managed lawn. Staying away from that word healthy. I like healthy, and I've got that written down and scratched out because it could create problems. But thinking from a consumer's standpoint, you know, that was my first take at it. So under the managed lawn, you can talk about fertilization, you can talk about pest control, you can talk about species of grass, you can talk about the fact that it doesn't have to be grass, you can talk about all of those elements that we've been talking around when it comes to proper management.
But you need to take out the word lawn and put in landscape because it's very confusing.
Okay.
That makes sense to me. That addresses a whole host of issues. Because I was thinking about Jeff. I mean, Jeff, you've got this wonderful book, curriculum, and you have lawns embedded in there. I mean, I thought it would have been interesting.
As a component, yeah.
Right, as one component, which it would have been interesting to take out your guidelines and run those by the group yesterday, because you were presenting lawns as a subset in our goal to have an overall landscape that doesn't impact our environment personally.
So properly managed landscape is good for the environment and easy to do.
Yes. I think we're making off.
Wait, Gary, I'm not sure. Gary, did you want to say something?
Are we actually trying to get consensus on the wording at this point?
No, I'm just kind of throwing the idea out to get this. What we're going to do is we'll talk a little bit about this, and then we're going to divide the group up into 3 groups and ask you guys to develop, you know, kind of a key message point with at least 2 supporting areas.
So I'm just wondering how many more comments do you want on the phrasing, or are we going to get a whack at it in the